Before we begin this night prayer, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like this video. It helps this space of quiet reach others who may be carrying the same hidden weight you are. Those who look fine on the outside but feel exhausted inside. There's a kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix, a kind of heaviness that lingers. No matter how much you rest your body, it's the weight of pretending, of holding yourself together when inside you're unraveling, of smiling when you want to cry, of saying, "I'm fine," when your soul is screaming, "I'm not okay." You've done it all day. Maybe you've done it for weeks, months, even years. Keeping the mask on because you think you're supposed to, because the world doesn't slow down for your pain, because you've convinced yourself that if you admit how heavy it feels, everything will fall apart. But here in this quiet with no eyes on you, no expectations to meet, you don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to hold yourself up or hide the trembling in your hands. This is where you can exhale. This is where you can whisper the words you've been carrying deep inside. God, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. And you know what? He can handle that honesty. He isn't shocked by your weakness. He isn't disappointed by your exhaustion. He already sees the truth beneath the mask, and he loves you there, not in some polished, put-together version of you, but in the real, raw, weary soul you bring to him now. Close your eyes. Take a slow breath. Feel the weight you've been carrying all day, the weight of expectations, of silent battles, of loneliness you couldn't admit, and let yourself acknowledge it. This is not weakness. This is courage, the courage to be real before the one who already knows you completely. You may not have the words for everything you feel. That's okay. God doesn't need perfect sentences. He just wants honesty. A whispered "help me" means more to him than 1,000 rehearsed prayers. So breathe again, slow, deep, steady. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let your soul admit what it's been holding. You are tired. You are hurting. And that is where prayer begins. Not in pretending, but in telling the truth. There comes a moment in the night when you stop trying to fight your own exhaustion. The pretending, the holding everything in place, the forcing yourself to be stronger than you really feel. It all reaches a breaking point. And strangely, that breaking isn't the end. It's the beginning. The moment you finally whisper the truth, "God, I'm tired. I can't keep doing this alone." Picture yourself walking through a quiet city street long after midnight. The storefronts are dark, the sidewalks empty. The hum of life that fills these streets during the day has gone still. Streetlights cast soft pools of light on the wet pavement, reflecting gold and silver in the puddles left by earlier rain. The air is cool, almost tender, carrying the faint scent of asphalt and distant blossoms. You walk slowly, your footsteps echoing faintly against the buildings. For once, you're not rushing anywhere. For once, there's nowhere you have to be, nothing you have to prove. Each step feels like an exhale. Small, steady, honest. You stop beneath a single streetlight and tilt your head back toward the sky. The clouds have parted, revealing a handful of stars faint against the city glow. You whisper, soft but certain, "I don't want to fake it anymore. God, I don't want to tell everyone I'm okay when I'm not. Please meet me here, in this silence, in this tired honesty." The city doesn't answer. The stars don't rearrange themselves. But something shifts anyway. Not outside, but inside. A loosening, a softening, a quiet knowing that you're not standing here alone, that maybe you never were. You close your eyes and let the silence settle around you. It's not empty anymore. It's full of presence, of love, of a God who doesn't turn away from weakness, but draws near to it. For the first time all day, you stop pretending, and it feels like freedom. You breathe in, slow and deep, and let yourself rest in that freedom, even if the questions remain, even if tomorrow will still be hard. For this moment, Honesty is enough. Presence is enough. There's a point in every long night where exhaustion feels heavier than any words you could say. The kind of tired that isn't just in your body, but deep in your soul. The kind that comes from holding yourself together for too long. And in that heaviness, a quiet truth surfaces. You were never meant to carry it all alone. Picture yourself in a quiet park just before sunrise. The paths are empty, lined with tall trees that cast long, soft shadows under the last traces of moonlight. A wooden swing creaks gently in the breeze, abandoned for the night, waiting for morning laughter that hasn't yet come. The world feels paused here, holding still, holding space. You sit on a bench near a small pond. The water is calm, smooth like glass, reflecting both the dark sky above and the faint glow of the coming dawn. The air is cool, heavy with the scent of damp grass and the faint sweetness of blooming flowers nearby. For a long time, you don't speak, you just sit with your tiredness, not rushing to cover it, not forcing yourself to rise above it, and strangely, in naming it, in letting it exist, the weight begins to shift. Finally, you whisper, "God, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I'm tired of always being strong. Please let me rest here. Please hold me here, in the middle of what I don't know how to fix." No booming voice answers. No sudden clarity comes. But the silence isn't empty. It's alive, soft, and steady, like the quiet presence of someone who doesn't need to speak to prove they're near. The first birds begin to sing in the trees, their song faint but certain. A gentle wind ripples the surface of the pond, breaking the reflection into fragments of light, and in that quiet moment, you realize something you hadn't before. God isn't waiting for the put-together version of you. He's here for the real you, even in the unraveling, even in the weakness, even in the honesty that feels raw and exposed. You close your eyes and breathe deep. The mask has fallen, and for once, you're not rushing to pick it back up. Tonight, in this silence, in this prayer, you're learning that God's love isn't earned by perfection. It's given freely, right here, where you are. And that is enough. There's a moment when the weight you've been carrying finally feels too heavy to hide. You can't force another smile. You can't hold up the walls you built to convince the world you're fine. And somehow, when you finally stop trying, when you finally let the mask fall, that's when grace steps in, quietly, gently, without demanding you to be anything but real. Picture yourself climbing a hill just before dawn. The ground is damp with dew, and the air is cool, smelling faintly of earth and wildflowers. The sky above you is beginning to shift from deep indigo to the first hints of pale blue. Each step you take feels slow but steady, heavy but honest. You're not rushing. You're just moving forward one breath at a time. At the top of the hill, you find a single bench facing east. It's weathered and rough, but sturdy, like it's been waiting here for years for someone to sit and rest. You take a seat, folding your hands loosely in your lap, and look out at the horizon. The world below is quiet. Rooftops still asleep, fields blanketed in soft mist, a river winding silently through the valley. There's no noise here, no pressure to explain or perform, just stillness, just space to breathe. You whisper softly, "God, I don't have the strength to pretend anymore. I don't have the words to make this sound beautiful or put together. All I have is the truth. I'm tired. I'm worn out, and I need you to meet me here in this honesty." The silence that follows doesn't feel empty. It feels alive. The breeze brushes softly against your face. The first light of dawn begins to stretch across the sky, painting soft strokes of pink and gold. No answers come, but something better does. A quiet assurance that you're not alone. You close your eyes and breathe deep. For the first time in a long time, your chest feels lighter, not because the burdens are gone, but because you've stopped carrying them alone. You've let God step into the space you once filled with pretending, and in that letting go, you found a kind of rest you didn't know you needed. The horizon brightens. The day is coming. And for now, in this quiet moment, you're ready to face it. Not with masks, not with pretending, but with the truth and the quiet presence of a God who stays. There's a quiet bravery in finally admitting what's true. For so long you've told yourself to hold it together, to keep moving, to keep smiling, even when inside you've been unraveling. But tonight, in this stillness, you're beginning to understand something. God never asked you to pretend. He never needed the mask. He wanted the real you all along, the tired you, the hurting you, the you that whispers in the dark, "I can't do this anymore." Picture yourself on a small wooden bridge crossing a stream in the middle of the forest. The water below moves gently, carrying fallen leaves downstream, its soft murmur blending with the rustle of wind through the trees. The night sky above is open and vast, dotted with faint stars, their light barely touching the forest floor. You stop in the middle of the bridge, hands resting on the worn railing. The wood is cool beneath your palms, grounding you in this moment. You listen to the quiet, the soft water, the wind, your own breathing, and for once, you don't try to fill it with words. You let the silence speak first. When you finally whisper, it's simple and raw. "God, I'm so tired of pretending I'm okay. Please meet me here, not in a version of me that looks strong, but in the one who's falling apart inside." The stream doesn't roar in reply. The stars don't flare brighter, but the stillness changes, not with sound, but with presence. You feel it in the steadiness of the water's flow, in the gentle brush of wind against your face, in the quiet knowing that even here, even like this, you are seen. You lean against the railing, closing your eyes. For the first time, you let yourself believe it. You don't have to be okay for God to stay. He stays because He loves, not because you're holding it together. He stays because He chooses you, even in the unraveling, even in the weariness, even in the truth you've been afraid to speak. You breathe deep, letting that reality settle. The night doesn't feel as heavy now. The silence feels holy. And for this moment, that's enough. There's a strange kind of freedom in finally telling the truth. You've spent so long holding everything in, wearing the mask that says, "I've got this," when inside you've been crumbling. But here in this quiet, there's no need to perform. There's no one to convince, no one to impress, just you and God, and He already knows. Picture yourself sitting on the steps of an old stone church at night. The building behind you is silent, its doors closed, its stained glass windows dark except for the faint reflection of moonlight. The courtyard around you is empty, no footsteps, no voices, just the hum of distant crickets and the whisper of wind through nearby trees. You lean forward, elbows resting on your knees, face buried in your hands. The day's weight presses heavy on your shoulders, but for the first time, you're not pretending it's light. You whisper into the darkness, voice trembling but steady. "God, I can't keep doing this by myself. I'm tired of smiling when I want to cry. I'm tired of holding it together when I feel like falling apart. I need you to meet me here, not in who I pretend to be, but in who I really am." The silence that follows isn't cold. It's not the silence of abandonment, it's the silence of listening, of presence, so close, it doesn't need words. The wind moves gently across your face, cool and steady, like an unseen hand reminding you, "I'm here, I've always been here." You lift your head and stare at the night sky. The stars are faint but countless, scattered across the vast darkness. Somehow, their quiet persistence comforts you. They've been shining long before your struggles began, and they'll keep shining long after. That steadiness feels like a promise, not that everything will be easy, but that you won't face it alone. For a moment, You let yourself believe it, really believe it. You unclench your fists. You let your shoulders drop. You breathe in slowly, filling your lungs with the cool night air. And as you exhale, something in you softens. The part of you that thought you had to keep pretending. The part that thought you had to be okay all the time. You don't have to be okay right now. You just have to be honest. And in that honesty, God meets you, not with condemnation, but with quiet, steady love. There's a certain kind of exhaustion that doesn't show on your face. People see you smiling, working, helping, moving through the day like nothing is wrong, and they think you're fine. But deep inside, you know how heavy it feels. You know the quiet moments at night when the mask finally slips, when your body aches not just from work, but from holding yourself together. When no one is watching, the truth spills out. I'm not okay. I'm so tired of pretending I am. Picture yourself sitting alone in a small wooden cabin deep in the forest. A single candle flickers on the table, casting soft light against rough wooden walls. Outside, the wind moves gently through the pines. The steady hum you can almost feel more than hear. The world out there is vast and noisy, but here, in this cabin, there is quiet, the kind that lets you breathe. You sit at the table with your hands wrapped around a warm mug. The steam rises slowly, curling in the candlelight. You stare at it for a long time, letting the warmth seep into your palms, grounding you in this moment. When you finally speak, your voice is soft, almost breaking. God, I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. I keep telling everyone I'm fine, but I'm not. I feel like I'm barely holding on. Please, don't let me face this night alone. The silence doesn't rush to fill the room. No dramatic answers come, but something else happens. Something smaller, quieter, steadier. The simple act of saying it out loud, of not pretending anymore, begins to loosen the weight inside you. It doesn't solve everything, but it gives you room to breathe. You lean forward, resting your forehead on the table. The wood is cool beneath your skin, grounding you even more. The candle flickers softly, casting shadows that move gently across the walls. And in that quiet, you sense something you can't quite name. Not words, but presence. A nearness that doesn't demand you to be strong, that doesn't need you to have it all figured out, that simply stays. For the first time in a long time, you let yourself rest in that. Not fixing, not forcing, just resting. Because tonight, honesty is enough. It's strange how silence can hold two things at once, comfort and ache, peace and longing. Tonight, it's holding both for you. The ache of everything you've hidden, everything you've carried alone, everything you've tried so hard to manage, and the comfort of finally letting it out, finally whispering the truth. I'm tired, and I'm not okay. Picture yourself in a quiet field, just beyond the edge of a forest. The grass is tall, brushing against your legs as you walk slowly toward a single tree standing in the open. The moonlight spills over everything in silver, soft, unhurried, steady. The night air smells of pine and damp earth, cool against your skin. You reach the tree and sit with your back against its trunk. The bark is rough, grounding you, reminding you you're still here, still breathing. For the first time all day, you're not performing for anyone. You're not forcing a smile. You're not holding yourself together. You're just sitting, raw, honest, weary, and real. You whisper, God, I've spent so much time trying to be strong for everyone else, smiling when I wanted to cry, saying I'm fine when I was breaking inside. I'm so tired of pretending. Please meet me here in the truth, not where I wish I was, but where I actually am. The wind moves softly through the grass, bending it in waves. No loud answer comes, but something shifts anyway. The quiet begins to feel alive, like maybe this is where God speaks, not in noise, but in nearness, not in fixing everything instantly, but in sitting with you in the middle of it. Tears come, not the frantic kind, but the slow, steady kind that feel like release. They carry no shame, only relief. Because in this quiet field, there is no need to hide. God sees, God knows, and somehow God stays. You lean your head back against the tree, eyes closed, breathing slow. The night stretches around you, vast and silent, yet not empty. For the first time in a long time, the quiet feels safe. Safe enough to let go, safe enough to rest. There's a strange relief that comes when you finally say it out loud, when you stop hiding from God the things He already knows. The words may tremble as they leave your lips, but the honesty in them feels like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. You've been pretending you're okay for so long that the truth almost feels foreign, yet somehow it fits better than the mask ever did. Picture yourself walking along a deserted shoreline at night. The sand is cool beneath your bare feet, damp from the tide that just rolled out. The sky is heavy with stars, endless and quiet, stretching farther than your eyes can see. The waves move with steady rhythm, in out, like the breath of the earth itself. You stop near the water's edge, letting the foam kiss your ankles. The night air is cool against your skin, carrying the faint scent of salt and seaweed. There's no one here but you and God. No expectations, no performance, no mask, just raw, quiet honesty. You whisper into the wind, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep holding it all together on the outside when I'm breaking on the inside. I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. God, please see me here, as I am, not as I pretend to be. The ocean doesn't roar in response. The stars don't rearrange themselves into answers, but something softer happens. The weight in your chest loosens, just a little. The act of speaking the truth lifts part of the burden you've carried alone. You sink to your knees in the sand, letting your hands rest in the wet earth. For the first time, you're not asking for everything to be fixed. You're not demanding explanations. You're simply asking for presence, for someone to sit with you in the middle of the mess, to remind you that you're not as alone as you feel. And in that quiet, something holy rises. Not noise, not answers, but peace. A peace that doesn't erase the struggle, but sits with you in it, whispering in ways beyond words. I'm here. I've always been here. You close your eyes, letting the sound of the waves become your prayer. In, out, steady, sure. Not perfect, but enough. The mask is heavy, isn't it? You've worn it so long it almost feels like part of your skin. That practiced smile, those quick, I'm fine replies, the way you keep everything neatly tucked away so no one worries, no one asks too many questions, no one sees how fragile you really feel. But tonight, in this quiet, you've taken it off. And maybe that feels both terrifying and freeing at the same time. Terrifying, because vulnerability always feels risky. Freeing, because pretending is exhausting. And for once, you're letting yourself be exactly as you are. Picture yourself standing in front of a mirror in a dimly lit room. The reflection you see isn't the polished version you show the world. It's the real you, tired eyes, heavy heart, hands that tremble from holding too much for too long. There's no judgment in that reflection, only honesty. And strangely, honesty feels like relief. You whisper into the quiet of the room, God, I don't know how to keep doing this. I'm so tired of acting like I have it all together when inside I feel like I'm falling apart. The silence doesn't respond with thunder. No dramatic sign fills the room, but something begins to shift inside you. A small loosening, like your soul finally unclenching. Because the one you're speaking to doesn't need the polished performance. He wants the truth. You sink to the floor, sitting with your back against the wall. The stillness around you feels heavy but safe, like a cocoon where you can finally stop striving. For a while, you just sit there, breathe. You let the tears you've been holding back all day fall freely now. No need to catch them, no need to hide them. In that stillness, you sense something you can't quite name. Not words, not answers, but presence. A nearness that doesn't need to announce itself loudly to be real. It's in the quiet of your breathing, in the space between your sobs, in the steady truth that even now, even here, you are seen. You whisper again, softer this time. I'm tired, God. I don't want to fake it anymore. Please meet me here, not where I pretend to be, but where I actually am. And though the silence remains, it no longer feels empty. There's a soft relief in knowing you've stopped hiding. The exhaustion of pretending was its own burden, one that grew heavier the longer you carried it. But now, in this stillness, something inside you has shifted. The mask is off. The weight is lighter, and maybe for the first time in a long time, you feel like you can breathe. Picture yourself sitting at the edge of a quiet field at dawn. The tall grass glistens with dew, shimmering under the faintest light of morning. In the distance, a line of trees stands like gentle guardians, their leaves whispering softly in the breeze. The world is hushed, no voices, no noise, just the hum of creation waking slowly. You pull your knees close to your chest and wrap your arms around them. Your forehead rests against your knees, and for a long time, you just breathe. Each inhale feels like a prayer without words. Each exhale feels like release, letting go of everything you've been holding too tightly. Finally, you lift your head and whisper, God, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I don't know how to keep moving like this, but I don't want to hide from you anymore. Please meet me here, not where I should be, not where others expect me to be, but where I actually am. The breeze moves gently through the field, bending the grass in waves. The silence remains, but it's not empty, it's alive. It feels like listening, like presence, like love that doesn't demand you to fix yourself before it stays. You tilt your head back toward the pale sky, watching the first streaks of sunlight break across the horizon. The warmth touches your face slowly, gently, not all at once, but enough to remind you that light is still coming, even if it rises slowly. And in that moment, you realize something you didn't before. Maybe being honest about your weakness is where healing begins. Maybe God was never waiting for you to be okay. Maybe He was waiting for you to be real. You close your eyes, exhaling one last time, and let the silence hold you. No pretending, no performing, just presence. And for this moment, that is enough. There's a kind of freedom that only comes when you stop hiding. It doesn't mean the pain disappears or the struggle suddenly ends, but something shifts when you finally allow yourself to be fully seen by God and maybe, eventually, by yourself. The truth might still hurt, but at least it's real. And real is where healing begins. Picture yourself walking along a dirt road at sunrise. The horizon glows soft gold, mist rising from fields on either side. The world is still quiet, caught between night and day. A sacred pause that feels made for confession, for honesty, for prayers you've been too afraid to speak until now. Your feet kick up small clouds of dust as you walk. There's no rush, no audience, just you, your thoughts, and the one who has always seen past the mask anyway. You stop by a wooden fence where wildflowers grow along the posts. Their colors are muted in the early light, soft purples and yellows bending in the breeze. You lean against the fence, fold your arms on top of the worn wood, and rest your forehead there. The words come slowly, but they come honest. God, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I'm tired of acting strong when I feel so fragile inside. I need you to meet me here, not when I've cleaned up my mess, not when I've figured it all out, but here, in the middle of the ache. The breeze shifts, cool and gentle against your face. The silence doesn't feel empty, it feels alive. Like a listening ear, like a presence that doesn't need to speak to make itself known. You stand there for a long while, letting the weight you've carried all this time roll off your shoulders. It doesn't vanish completely, but it lightens. It's no longer just yours to hold. The sun climbs higher, bathing the fields in warm light. The flowers lift their heads toward it, and something in you lifts too. Not because everything is fixed, but because you're finally honest about where you are. And somehow, that honesty feels like hope. There's something strangely holy about reaching the end of yourself, about admitting you don't have it all together, and maybe never did. It's in that moment of surrender, when every defense falls and every mask is gone, that you finally see God isn't repelled by your weakness, He's drawn to it. He meets you there, not after you've cleaned yourself up, but right in the middle of the mess. Picture yourself walking through a quiet valley at dawn. The mist clings low to the grass, and the first light of morning turns the hills into soft silhouettes. A narrow stream winds through the center, its water reflecting the pale sky. The only sounds are the gentle trickle of water and the faint chorus of birds waking in the distance. You walk slowly, each step sinking slightly into the damp earth. There's no rush, not this morning. No deadlines to meet, no expectations to perform, no one to convince. For the first time in what feels like forever, you're free to simply be. You reach the edge of the stream and kneel down, cupping your hands in the cold water. You let it run through your fingers, watching as ripples spread outward in soft circles. The simple rhythm of it calms you, in, out, steady, unhurried. You whisper, almost to yourself, God, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I've carried this weight for so long, and I don't know how to set it down. I don't have fancy words or strong faith tonight. I just have honesty. Please meet me in it. The breeze moves softly through the valley, carrying with it the scent of wet grass and wildflowers. The silence remains, but it feels less like absence now and more like companionship, like someone is walking beside you, even if unseen. You sit back on the grass, leaning against a large stone by the water's edge. The sun climbs higher, burning away the mist bit by bit, revealing the quiet beauty of the valley. And as light spreads across the hills, something shifts inside you. Not a sudden fix, but a gentle assurance. You are not alone. You never were. You close your eyes, letting that truth settle deep. The pretending has ended. The honesty remains. And somehow, that feels like hope. There's a soft relief that comes when you finally realize you don't have to keep up appearances with God. He doesn't need the polished version of you. He doesn't need you to be unbroken before you come close. He just wants the truth, the tired, messy, unfiltered truth. And tonight, you're finally letting Him have it. Picture yourself sitting on a weathered wooden pier, stretching out into a still lake. The night is fading, but the stars still hang faintly above you, reflected in the water below. A thin layer of mist hovers above the surface, curling and shifting with every soft breeze. The world feels suspended here, caught between darkness and light, between exhaustion and the hope of morning. You pull your knees to your chest, wrapping your arms tightly around them. Your forehead rests against your knees, and for a long while, you just breathe. The sound of the water lapping gently against the pier is steady and calming, like a quiet heartbeat outside of your own. Finally, you whisper into the stillness, God, I've been acting fine for so long, smiling when I wanted to cry, saying, I'm okay when I was falling apart. I can't do it anymore. I don't want to pretend with you. Not tonight, not ever again. Please meet me here, in this truth, even if it's messy. The silence doesn't rush to fill the air with answers, but it doesn't feel empty either. It feels alive, like someone is sitting beside you, listening, unhurried, unafraid of the rawness you've been hiding. You lift your head and look out over the lake. The first hints of sunlight touch the horizon, turning the water soft shades of pink and gold. The beauty of it surprises you, not because it fixes anything, but because it reminds you that life can still hold quiet goodness, even here, even now. You let your feet dangle over the edge of the pier, toes brushing the cool surface of the water, and in that simple act, you feel it, release. A loosening of the tight grip you've held on your own heart, a surrender that feels less like defeat and more like trust. The morning unfolds slowly, steady, and gentle, and for the first time in a long time, you're not rushing to put the mask back on. Here, in this stillness, you've found something better than pretending. You've found presence. There's a kind of silence that doesn't feel empty anymore. It doesn't feel like abandonment or distance. It feels like listening. Like love that doesn't have to announce itself to be real. Tonight, that's the silence you're sitting in. The kind that doesn't demand you to be strong, that simply lets you be exactly where you are. Picture yourself at the edge of a quiet mountain trail. The forest behind you is dense and dark, but ahead, the view opens wide, rolling hills bathed in soft morning light. A single wooden bench sits at the overlook, worn and weathered by years of wind and rain. You make your way toward it slowly, every step grounding you deeper in this moment. You sit down, hands resting loosely in your lap. The wind is cool against your face, carrying the faint scent of pine and earth. The valley below is still covered in mist. Clouds cling to the tops of trees like soft blankets. The world is waking slowly, and for the first time in a long time, you feel no rush to meet it. You whisper into the quiet, "God, I've spent so long pretending I'm okay, convincing everyone else I'm fine, even convincing myself that I'm not fine. I'm tired, I'm heavy, and I need you to see me here, not the version of me that looks strong, but the one who's barely holding on." No booming answer comes. No dramatic change sweeps over the valley, but something quieter happens, something deeper. A calm begins to settle over you, slow and steady, like the mist lifting from the hills. It doesn't fix everything, but it softens the weight you've been carrying. You lean back against the bench, eyes closed, and breathe deep. The quiet doesn't ask you to perform. It doesn't ask you to explain. It just lets you rest, and maybe that's what you've needed all along. A place to stop pretending, a place to be honest, a place to simply be. As the sun rises higher, painting the hills in gold, you feel it, not answers, not fixes, but presence. The kind that stays, the kind that doesn't leave when things get messy, the kind that meets you not where you pretend to be, but where you actually are. There's a quiet kind of courage in sitting with your own truth, not rushing past it, not covering it with half smiles or quick words, just letting it exist, admitting, even if only in a whisper, that you are tired, that you can't keep pretending you're fine, that you need help you can't find in yourself. Picture yourself wandering through an abandoned orchard. The trees stand tall but unkept, branches heavy with fruit no one has gathered. Grass grows wild between the rows, soft beneath your bare feet. The air smells sweet, apples, damp earth, and the faint trace of rain that fell earlier in the night. You walk slowly, fingertips brushing against the rough bark as you pass tree after tree. The silence here is different, not empty, but patient. It doesn't ask you to be okay. It just invites you to be honest. You stop beneath the largest tree in the center of the orchard. Its roots are deep, its branches wide, offering shelter like open arms. You sink down at its base, leaning your back against the trunk and let your head fall back. The weight of everything you've been carrying presses heavy, but for the first time, you're not trying to hide it. Your voice is low, almost breaking. God, I've spent so much of my life performing for people, for myself, maybe even for you, pretending I'm fine when I'm not, acting strong when I feel weak. Tonight, I don't have the energy to keep pretending. Please meet me here, in this orchard, in this honesty, in this fragile truth I've been so afraid to admit. The breeze stirs gently through the branches. A few apples fall softly to the ground, rolling toward your feet. There's no thunder, no dramatic sign, just stillness. And yet, in that stillness, you sense something sacred, presence. The kind that doesn't demand words, the kind that doesn't leave when things get messy. You close your eyes and let the silence wrap around you. For the first time in a long time, you don't feel pressure to fix everything. You don't feel the weight of holding the world together. You just feel held. The sun begins to rise, light filtering through the branches, scattering patterns of gold across your face. And in that quiet moment, you realize maybe God was never waiting for the okay version of you. Maybe he's been waiting for this, the real you, the honest you, the one brave enough to stop pretending. There's a turning point in every night like this, the moment you realize pretending has been costing you more than admitting the truth ever could. Hiding your exhaustion has only made you lonelier. Carrying the weight in silence has only made it heavier. But here, in this honesty, something begins to shift. Not because the pain disappears, but because you no longer have to face it alone. Picture yourself sitting beside a quiet lake, just as the sun breaks over the horizon. The water is still, except for the occasional ripple from a fish breaking the surface. Mist hovers low, soft and weightless, curling in the golden light. The world is waking slowly, birds calling faintly in the distance, leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. You sit on a weathered dock, your bare feet dangling above the cool water. For a long time, you say nothing. You just watch, the light shifting across the lake, the gentle dance of mist, the reflection of the sky on the water's surface. It's simple, but in that simplicity, there is peace. Finally, you whisper, God, I've spent so much energy trying to seem okay when I'm not. I've smiled when I wanted to cry. I've said, I'm fine when I was falling apart inside. I don't want to live like that anymore. Please meet me here, in my weakness, in my weariness, in my truth. The water doesn't stir dramatically. The sky doesn't blaze with sudden signs. But the silence feels different now. It feels full, steady, listening, alive. You close your eyes and breathe in the cool air. For the first time in a long time, you let yourself feel small, and it doesn't scare you. It feels safe, because small means you don't have to hold the world together. Small means you can finally rest in something bigger than yourself. The sun climbs higher, painting the water in gold. The mask you've worn for so long lies behind you now, left in the quiet honesty of this moment. You don't need it anymore. Not here, not with him. And in that freedom, you find what you've been searching for all along. Not perfection, not answers, but presence. Quiet, steady, enough. There's something sacred about reaching the end of yourself. When every mask has slipped, every forced smile has faded, every last ounce of strength you've pretended to have is gone, and yet, somehow, you're still here. It's in that raw, unguarded place that you finally see God was never asking you to be perfect. He was just waiting for you to be real. Picture yourself on the rooftop of a quiet building at dawn. The city below is still half asleep, streets mostly empty, windows dark, the faint hum of early traffic beginning far in the distance. The air is cool, carrying the smell of rain from the night before. Puddles on the rooftop reflect the pale morning sky, soft hues of blue and gray mixing with streaks of gold as the sun begins to rise. You sit near the edge, legs dangling carefully over the side, and take a slow breath. Up here, above the noise and rush of daily life, it feels like you can finally think, or maybe finally stop thinking. For a moment, you just exist, tired, unpolished, honest. You whisper into the quiet, God, I don't know what tomorrow looks like. I don't know how to keep pretending I'm okay when I'm not. But I do know this. I don't want to hide from you anymore. Please stay close, even when I have nothing left to give. The silence that follows doesn't feel like absence. It feels like listening, like someone sitting beside you in the quiet, unafraid of the mess, unafraid of the truth. The breeze brushes your face, gentle and cool, almost like a hand resting there for comfort. You close your eyes and let that presence sink deep. The weight you've carried doesn't vanish, but it shifts. It's lighter now, not because it's gone, but because you're no longer carrying it alone. And in that realization, something inside you loosens, the fear, the shame, the endless need to perform. As the sun climbs higher, the city begins to wake. The hum of traffic grows louder, lights flick on in distant windows, footsteps echo in the streets below. But up here, you're still in the quiet, still honest, still held. And for now, that is enough. There's a quiet moment, somewhere between night and morning, when the world feels suspended. The chaos of the day hasn't started yet, but the weight of yesterday hasn't fully lifted. It's in that space, where exhaustion and hope meet, that you finally find yourself breathing differently. Not faster, not forced, just honest. Picture yourself in a small clearing surrounded by tall evergreens. The forest floor is soft with pine needles, and the air carries a crispness that feels almost clean against your skin. Above, the first light of morning filters through the branches, casting faint gold patterns on the ground. It's quiet here, not empty quiet, but steady quiet, the kind that feels alive. You sit on a fallen log near the center of the clearing. The wood is rough beneath your hands, grounding you in this present moment. For a while, you don't say anything. You just let yourself exist. No masks, no forced smiles, no rehearsed I'm fines. Just you, tired but real. Finally, you speak, your voice soft, trembling but honest. God, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I'm tired of holding it together when I'm falling apart inside. Please stay with me here, in this truth. I don't need you to fix everything right now. I just need you to stay. The wind shifts through the trees, rustling the branches in a way that feels almost like a response, not words, but presence. A quiet reminder. I've been here, all along. You close your eyes and let the silence settle. The ache you've carried doesn't vanish, but it softens. It loosens its grip, and for the first time the quiet feels safe. Not because everything is solved, but because you're no longer pretending. The sun climbs higher, painting the clearing with gentle light. You breathe in the cool air, letting it fill the empty spaces inside you. Slowly, quietly, you realize something. Honesty isn't the end of faith. It's the beginning. And here, in this raw, unpolished prayer, you're closer to God than you've been in a long time. You let that truth rest in you as the morning unfolds, steady and soft. There's a quiet shift that happens when you stop fighting your own weakness, when you let yourself be small, fragile, even broken, and realize that God isn't put off by it. He doesn't need you to stand tall for him to draw close. In fact, it's often when you finally sink to your knees that you find him most near. Picture yourself sitting at the edge of a cliff, overlooking the sea. The night is almost gone, but the stars still linger faintly above you, scattered like soft embers across the sky. Below, the ocean moves in a slow, endless rhythm, waves rolling in and out, steady and sure. The salt air is cool against your face, and the sound of water against rock becomes a lullaby for your tired soul. You pull your jacket tighter around you and close your eyes. The weight you've been carrying feels heavy, but you're no longer hiding it. You're not pretending to be strong. You're not forcing yourself to be okay. You're just here, honest. And somehow, that feels safer than the mask ever did. You whisper softly into the sea breeze. God, I've spent so long pretending I'm fine. I've smiled when I wanted to cry. I've said I'm okay when I was falling apart inside. But I can't keep doing that. Please, meet me here, not in my performance, but in my truth, not in my strength, but in my weakness. The wind moves gently through your hair. No thunder answers, no lightning strikes. But the silence isn't empty, it's alive. It holds you like unseen arms around your shoulders, steady and sure. You draw your knees close and listen to the ocean's rhythm. In, out, a heartbeat older than your pain, deeper than your fear. Then slowly, without even realizing it, your breathing begins to match it. The first light of morning touches the horizon, spilling soft gold across the water. The darkness doesn't vanish all at once, but it fades bit by bit, wave by wave, and as it does, you feel something shift inside you too. The weight is still there, but it's lighter. The ache is still real, but it's shared now. You open your eyes and watch the sunrise paint the sea in colors you can't name. And for the first time in a long time, you don't feel like you have to fix everything. You just feel held. There's something sacred about this kind of surrender. Not the dramatic kind, but the quiet one. The kind where you finally whisper, I can't, and discover that God has been waiting for you in that exact place. Where you stop trying to prove yourself and simply let Him hold you as you are. Picture yourself on a quiet hillside as the first rays of sunlight break over the horizon. The grass beneath you is cool and damp with dew soft against your hands as you lean back and watch the sky change colors from deep blue to pale pink to warm gold. The world is waking, but here it feels like time has paused just for you. You draw your knees close and rest your chin on them, breathing slow and deep. For so long, you've been holding everything together, for others, for yourself. But here, in this quiet place, you finally let the walls fall. You don't have to smile. You don't have to perform. You can simply admit what's true. I'm tired. I'm not okay. And I need you, God, more than I can say. The breeze moves gently across the hillside, carrying the scent of wildflowers and fresh earth. It feels like an answer, not in words, but in presence. A presence that doesn't demand you to fix everything, that doesn't rush you to get better, but simply stays with you in the middle of the ache. You close your eyes and listen to the wind, to the faint hum of life around you, to your own heartbeat slowing in the stillness. And in that quiet, something begins to shift. The weight you've carried for so long doesn't disappear, but it feels lighter, shared, carried by someone bigger than you. As the sun climbs higher, warming your face, you realize something you've missed all along. God's love isn't found in pretending to be okay. It's found in the raw, unpolished truth of where you are, tired, messy, honest. And somehow, that truth is enough. There's a strange beauty in realizing that God doesn't turn away from your weakness. He moves closer to it. That the very places you've tried to hide, the cracks you've tried to cover, are the ones He longs to meet with His love. You don't have to be strong here. You don't have to perform. You just have to be willing to be real. Picture yourself sitting inside a quiet chapel just as the sun begins to rise. The wooden pews are empty, the air still heavy with the faint scent of candle wax and old wood. Soft light filters through stained glass, casting gentle colors onto the stone floor. Blues, reds, golds, dancing faintly as the morning grows brighter. You sit near the back, shoulders slumped, hands resting loosely in your lap. For a while, You don't say anything. You let the silence of the room hold you, a silence that feels sacred, alive with unspoken prayers and the steady presence of God who has always been here. Finally, you whisper, "God, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I'm tired of wearing the mask, tired of saying I'm fine when I'm not. Please meet me here, not where I think I should be, but where I really am." The stillness remains, but it's different now. It doesn't feel empty. It feels like listening, like someone is sitting beside you in the pew, unhurried, unafraid of your honesty. The weight you've been carrying doesn't disappear, but it shifts. It feels lighter simply because you've stopped carrying it alone. You close your eyes and lean back against the wooden bench. The soft light through the stained glass warms your face. In that warmth, you sense something you can't quite put into words, a quiet assurance that God isn't waiting for you to have it all together. He's here for the real you, the tired you, the you who's finally honest enough to say, "I'm not okay, and that's where I need you most." Outside, the first sounds of morning begin, distant footsteps, a bird's song, the soft creak of doors opening somewhere down the hall. But here, in this moment, you remain in the quiet, and somehow, for now, that's enough. There's a quiet shift that happens when you finally admit how heavy it's been, when you stop minimizing it, stop comparing your pain to someone else's, stop telling yourself it's not bad enough to bring to God. Tonight, you've let yourself be honest, and in that honesty, something sacred has opened up, a space where grace can finally breathe. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a wide river at dawn. The water moves slow and steady, reflecting the pale colors of the waking sky. Mist rises from its surface, curling upward and disappearing into the cool morning air. On the opposite bank, trees line the shore, their branches swaying gently in the breeze. You step onto a flat stone at the water's edge and sit down, pulling your knees close. The stone is cool beneath you, grounding you in this present moment. For a while, you just watch the river, its endless flow, its unhurried rhythm, the way it carries leaves downstream without effort. You whisper softly, "God, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I've been holding everything so tightly, trying to manage, trying to appear strong, trying to make it through on my own. But I can't do it anymore. Please meet me here, where I've run out of strength." The river doesn't roar, the sky doesn't split open, but the silence feels different. Not empty, not indifferent, but alive. It feels like listening. It feels like love. You close your eyes and let the sounds of the river and the wind wash over you. With each breath, the weight in your chest loosens a little more. You imagine setting it down, all the pretending, all the pressure, all the fears you've carried, and letting the current take it. The sun rises higher, painting the river in soft gold. You realize the circumstances haven't changed. The pain hasn't magically disappeared, but something inside you is shifting. You're not hiding anymore. You're not carrying it alone. And in this quiet, you discover what you've needed all along. Not a fix, not an answer, but presence. Quiet, steady, faithful presence. There's a strange peace in realizing you don't have to rush toward wholeness. For so long, you've believed healing had to be immediate, that you had to wake up one day, suddenly strong, suddenly unbroken. But maybe healing is slower, maybe it's quiet, maybe it's found here, in this moment of honesty, where all you have is your tiredness and the courage to admit it. Picture yourself walking through a meadow just after sunrise. The grass is wet with dew, sparkling in the soft golden light. Wildflowers scatter across the field, purples, yellows, whites, bending gently in the morning breeze. The air smells fresh, earthy, carrying the faint sweetness of blooming clover. You find a small hill at the meadow's edge and sit down, drawing your knees to your chest. The view stretches endlessly, rolling fields, distant mountains, a sky opening wide above you. The world is waking, but here you're unhurried. For the first time, you don't feel the need to perform for it. You whisper into the morning air, "God, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I don't have the words to make this prayer beautiful or strong. All I have is honesty, and I hope that's enough. Please meet me here, in the quiet, where I've finally stopped hiding." The breeze moves softly through the meadow, rustling the tall grass in waves. No booming voice answers, no sudden clarity fills your mind, but something quieter happens. The ache in your chest loosens just a little. The weight you've carried alone feels shared now, lighter in ways you can't explain. You close your eyes and listen to the wind, to the faint hum of bees, to your own slow breathing. For the first time, the silence doesn't scare you. It steadies you. It feels like presence, not loud, not flashy, but real. The sun climbs higher, warming your face, painting the meadow in light, and you realize maybe this is what God wanted all along. Not your perfection, not your pretending, but your presence, your willingness to sit with Him in the truth of where you are. And for now, that is enough. There's a quiet moment when the mask falls, and you realize you don't miss it. You thought it protected you. You thought it made you strong. But all it really did was keep you from being known. Tonight, in this soft silence, you've discovered something different, a freedom you didn't know you needed. The freedom to be seen as you are and still be loved. Picture yourself walking along the edge of a calm lake as the morning light spreads across the water. The surface glows gold, rippling gently with every breeze. The air is cool but warming with each passing moment, carrying the scent of pine and wet earth. It's quiet here, but not empty, alive with the hum of birds, the rustle of leaves, the steady rhythm of nature simply being what it is. You stop at a flat rock that juts out into the lake and sit down, legs crossed, hands resting loosely in your lap. For a long time, you simply watch the water. You notice how it reflects the trees and sky, broken only by the occasional ripple of fish beneath the surface. There's no rush, no pressure to move or speak, just quiet. Finally you whisper, "God, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I've carried this weight so long, I forgot what it feels like to be honest. But here I am, messy, exhausted, real. Please meet me here, not with answers I can't yet hold, but with presence I can rest in." The breeze brushes across your face, cool and steady. No booming voice answers, no sudden sign appears. Yet the silence feels alive, like someone is listening, like someone has been listening all along. You close your eyes and take a deep breath. The ache doesn't vanish, but it softens. The fear doesn't disappear, but it quiets, and in that softening, something holy happens. You realize you don't have to be okay to be loved. You don't have to be perfect to belong here. As the sun climbs higher, painting the lake in brighter gold, you stay seated on the rock, not rushing, not pretending, just breathing and being held in the kind of love that doesn't demand you to have it all together. There's a stillness that only comes after you've told the truth, after the mask has fallen, after the tears have run their course, after you've finally said the words you've been holding inside. I'm not okay. It's not weakness. It's the first real strength you've shown in a long time. Because pretending takes energy you no longer have, but honesty opens the door to healing. Picture yourself lying in an open field at dawn. The grass is soft beneath you, still damp with morning dew. Above, the sky is turning from deep indigo to pale gold, stars fading one by one as the sun begins its slow rise. The world around you is quiet, no rushing cars, no busy voices, just the hum of nature waking gently. You stare at the sky and breathe deep. For the first time in what feels like forever, You're not running from the silence. You're letting it hold you. The weight you've carried isn't gone, but it feels different now. Shared, softened, no longer crushing you. You whisper softly, God, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. But maybe that's where I was meant to find you, all along. Not in the moments I looked strong, but in the moments I couldn't fake it anymore. Thank you for meeting me here, in this truth. Thank you for staying, even when I had nothing left to give. The wind brushes lightly across your face, carrying the scent of wildflowers and fresh earth. The silence remains, but it feels alive, like someone is near, listening, loving, without hurry or delay. It's not the answer you thought you needed, but it's the presence you didn't know you were longing for. As the sun climbs higher, warming your face, something settles deep inside you. It's not that everything is fixed. It isn't. It's that you're no longer alone in it. The pretending has ended. The honesty has begun. And somehow, that honesty is enough. You rise slowly, standing barefoot in the grass, and watch the world wake around you. Birds begin to sing, light spills over the hills, and for the first time, you feel steady. Not because you're unbroken, but because you're held. You whisper one last prayer, soft but sure. Even when I can't be okay, thank you for loving me anyway. There's a certain relief that settles in when you realize you've survived the night, not because everything is fixed, but because you've stopped fighting yourself. The energy you spent on pretending, on holding the mask in place, is finally yours again. And with it comes something you didn't expect. Space. Space to rest. Space to breathe. Space to let God love you right where you are. Picture yourself at the edge of a calm river just before sunrise. The world is hushed, painted in soft shades of gray and silver. Mist hovers over the water, curling gently in the cool air. The only sound is the steady trickle of water against the smooth stones at the shore. You kneel at the riverbank and dip your hands into the cool water. It runs over your fingers, refreshing, grounding. You watch as ripples spread outward, breaking the perfect reflection of the pale sky. For a long time, you just stay there, watching, breathing, letting the simplicity of this moment quiet your soul. You whisper softly, God, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I don't know what tomorrow holds. I don't even know what today will bring. But I know this. I don't want to hide from you anymore. Please meet me here in this truth. Please stay close, even when I can't feel you. The wind brushes softly against your face, carrying the faint scent of wet earth and distant flowers. No booming answer comes, no sudden clarity, but the silence feels different now. Alive, steady, full. A presence you can't explain but somehow know is real. You sit back on the riverbank, leaning into the soft grass. The sky begins to brighten, streaks of pale pink and gold spreading slowly across the horizon. The world is waking, and with it something inside you is waking too. A quiet hope that maybe you don't have to have it all together to be held. For the first time in a long time, you believe it. God isn't waiting for your perfection. He's meeting you here, in your tiredness, in your truth, in the place you've finally stopped pretending. There's a strange quiet that comes after you've finally told the truth. The kind of quiet that isn't heavy anymore, but strangely light. For so long, silence felt like absence. Now, it feels like peace. It feels like someone is sitting beside you, unbothered by the mess, unhurried by the time it takes to heal. Picture yourself walking through an empty field at dusk. The sun has slipped low, leaving streaks of deep orange and soft purple across the sky. Fireflies begin to appear one by one, their tiny lights blinking in the tall grass like quiet prayers rising toward heaven. The air is warm but gentle, carrying the earthy scent of evening dew. You walk slowly, letting the grass brush against your hands. Each step feels softer than the last, as though the earth itself is inviting you to rest. There's no need to perform here, no need to wear the mask. The quiet welcomes you exactly as you are. You stop near a small oak tree at the edge of the field and sink to the ground beneath it. Its roots are deep, its branches wide, sheltering you in their shade. For a long time, you say nothing. You simply breathe, slow, deep breaths that seem to carry more honesty with every exhale. Finally, you whisper, "God, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I don't have strength left to fake it anymore. Please meet me here, in this honesty. Please stay, even if I have nothing to offer but my brokenness." The wind stirs softly through the grass, and the fireflies continue their quiet dance around you. The silence remains, but it's no longer empty. It feels alive, warm, steady, holy. A reminder that love doesn't always need words to be real. You lean back against the tree and watch the sky darken, stars slowly appearing one by one. The field feels safe now, not because your problems are gone, but because you're not carrying them alone. For the first time, you're not hiding. And that, somehow, feels like healing. There's a moment, somewhere between exhaustion and surrender, when you realize you don't have to keep pushing, the striving, the performing, the endless weight of trying to look fine when you're falling apart. You can lay it down now, not because everything is fixed, but because you finally believe that God loves you even here, even like this. Picture yourself sitting at the edge of a quiet cliffside, overlooking a vast valley. The sky is painted in soft pastels, pale blues, gentle pinks, hints of gold, where the sun has just begun to rise. The valley below is covered in mist, curling like waves over the treetops, moving slowly in the morning breeze. You sit with your legs drawn close, your hands wrapped around your knees. The rock beneath you is cool, grounding you in this moment. For once, you're not rushing to figure out what comes next. You're simply letting yourself be tired, honest, open. You whisper into the quiet air, "God, I've spent so much of my life pretending I'm okay for them, for me, maybe even for you, but I'm not okay. And I think you already know that. Please meet me here, not where I pretend to be, but where I really am." The wind brushes softly across your face, carrying the faint scent of pine and distant rain. The silence that follows isn't empty. It feels like listening. It feels like love without conditions. It feels like the presence of someone who has been waiting for you to finally stop hiding. You lean back against the rock and watch the sun climb higher. The mist in the valley begins to lift, revealing quiet rivers and winding paths below. It's beautiful, not because everything is perfect, but because you're finally seeing it without the haze of pretending. For the first time in a long time, your breath feels steady, your heart feels quiet. The weight you've been carrying hasn't disappeared, but it feels lighter now, shared, held by hands greater than your own. You close your eyes and let yourself rest in that truth. You don't have to perform. You don't have to prove anything. You are loved. You are seen. And tonight, or maybe this morning, that is finally it. There's a quiet kind of relief in realizing you don't have to hold everything together anymore. You thought that being strong meant never showing weakness, never letting anyone see the cracks. But here, in the stillness, you're learning something different. Real strength begins where pretending ends. Picture yourself wandering into an open field, surrounded by mountains. The peaks rise higher and silent, their snow-capped tops glowing faintly in the early morning light. The valley below is covered in wildflowers, soft purples and yellows, swaying gently in the breeze. The air is crisp, carrying the scent of pine and fresh earth. You walk slowly to the center of the field and sit down in the grass. It bends softly beneath you, cool with morning dew. For a while, you say nothing. You just breathe. Long, deep breaths that match the rhythm of the wind moving through the valley. The quiet here doesn't demand anything from you. It simply lets you be. Finally, you whisper, "God, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I don't know what to do with all this weight I've been carrying. I don't know how to fix it, but I don't want to hide from you anymore. Please meet me here, in this honesty, in this weariness, in this silence." The breeze shifts, moving through the wildflowers in gentle waves. The silence doesn't answer with words, but it feels alive, like someone is listening, like someone has been here all along. You lie back in the grass, staring up at the sky. Clouds drift slowly overhead, their edges lit by the rising sun. The world feels vast and quiet, but somehow safe. You realize you don't need to fill the silence. You don't need to have the right words. You just need to rest and let yourself be loved right here, as you are. For the first time in what feels like forever, you believe it. God isn't waiting for you to get it together. He's meeting you here, in the unraveling, in the truth, in the very place you stopped pretending.